Hello, everyone. It's the live stream. It's the pre-show. Chill. The main show, there'll be a link to the show notes below, in the show notes below, that will take you straight to the spinny car, which will be like this, and then, you know, more of that, the flying helmet. It'll all work out. But I'm a little twitchy. I'm a little nervous. It's Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. And I think this is the first day I've been able to get through a good part of the day without hacking my lungs up, as I'm sure a lot of you have been going through those winter bugs. So I actually haven't streamed or talked publicly for 2 weeks, which is very abnormal. And it's as somebody whose profession and persona is about going on the internet and going, hey, everyone listen to me. My opinions are important and valid somehow. I've had 2 weeks without that. And actually, I've had 2 weeks without talking to Matt Trumpets either. Hello, Matt.
Hey there, Spanners. Many exciting things have happened in this time, including an amazing tech time with me and Summers and Van Gene, which, well, people actually liked having Van Gene on the show.
Yes. So this was Alex saying he listens to all the shows. There's Alex, and he always gives feedback. And so on a Monday, I'll see notification, WhatsApp message. Oh, it's in the Missed Apex Chill Chums group. Homage to Conan O'Brien there. But yeah, I'll see that voice note, and it'll be like 1 minute, 30-second voice note, and you go, oh, well, here, the Van Gene review is in. You go, is it going to be good or bad? And inevitably, he'll start it off with like, Chris, how the hell do you not know such and such a thing? Or fun show lads or whatever. But yeah, he always says with the tech time, he personally can get a little bit lost in the tech time. He was like, I need to be on that show and telling them when I don't understand a thing to bring it down to kind of the level of the village idiot. And I listened to the first 20 minutes. I think it went very well. It was a short and snippy intro for you, for Trumpets. And yeah, people seem to really enjoy having Alex on there.
Yeah, well, it's good because even when you're making your best effort to explain stuff, after a while of being in a field, you pick up so many things that you don't know what you're assuming anymore.
Shortcuts.
Other people understand because you're not
shortcuts.
new to it anymore.
Yeah. No. Sorry. Have we got a bit of a lag on the line? As soon as you hear me say one, say one. One.
One.
Oh, there you go. See, it's that slight pause that sometimes you'll stop talking and I go, has he finished? And then you'll go, is he going to come in? And then we'll both panic and talk at the same time. And then people go, you're interrupting him. I'm not. And also sometimes, gone.
I was playing music, but not fully written down music, sort of music where, you can sort of shift back and forth between harmonies, like background rock and roll kind of stuff. And I remembered 3 consecutive entrances playing a part, the saxophone player playing the same part, switching the next time, saxophone player also switching to the exact same harmony I was playing.
Right.
And then you just look at each other and laugh, because what can you do? That's it. It's because we listen and pay attention. We're good.
I get you now.
Good. That's what happens when you're really good. Sometimes you get too good.
Because we play like a roving role as well, especially when we've got 1 or 2 people on the panel. Like we'll instinctively switch. So when we used to have 4 people panels, if someone was being very dominant, you and I would kind of merge into one. So we'd be like an omni host, span pits, trumpners. We go,
Trumpners,
play that role.
Pits, I don't know. Neither of those are really doing it for me, if I'm being honest.
I'm not loving that. Yeah. So those things can happen much easier if you're live. And also when you're live, that kind of talking over each other and talking at the same time actually works and is effective, because that's what happens in normal conversations. But when it's on the Skype call, you want to be more kind of, it is a bit more after you take your turn, turn.
If you're taking notes at home, notice how often I try to place words in the little gaps that Spanners. He said, words that, and I go, true, and then he carries on. At least on my end, that's what it sounds like.
That's also a little... No, that one worked out that you did. Also, it's a little cue that you want to be in the conversation. So if somebody's making a point and you're coming in going, yeah, I'm not just saying that so you can hear me go, yeah. I'm saying that because Matt will know, I think Spanners has got kind of a point to come in with. And that's become our shorthand. Because we used to put up little labels, didn't we? Go, Matt, or put our hands up. We'd still put our hands up. I tell you who puts his hands up very often. Scott Stuffey Tuffey. Hello, Scott. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Yeah, I'm nice and polite. I wait for people to
You've got a
finish their
button.
point.
You've got a button. It's interesting when new people come in on the show and like I'm actually having to message them saying, interrupt, butt in, just get in there. Sometimes you do have to shove yourself in. And like, so like Christina's very polite. And I literally have to message her going, if you want to shut us up, just shut us up. Whereas Antonia does not have that problem at all. You're sort of in the middle, I would say, of those. And, you know, and then on the other end of things, you've got Van Gene. It's like, no, you're talking shit. Also, sorry, live stream, sorry.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Day ruined.
Day
And it's
ruined.
afternoon too.
I know. So no, I've got no excuses. Sober on a Sunday afternoon, no excuses at all.
Sober, there's your problem.
This is
Me
it.
too. I mean, it's 9 a.m.
Yes.
and like I'm drinking actual water, people.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, kiddies.
It's
I'm
sad.
sure all the kiddies are watching. But me and Scott were having a discussion off air because I was like, oh, it is nice to have a drink on the go during the show. But in the evening, that makes more sense. 2 p.m. It's kind of like, and you were making the point, Scott. Well, we've got weird jobs and weird hours, so
Yeah, I'm kind of not there yet with you. I will be soon, hopefully, with this being full time. But yeah, for you, you're up till 4 a.m. or whatever, and then not waking up till midday and things. So it's like this job. It doesn't really have obviously your normal working hours.
And I'm international as well. I'm kind of like an airport because there's always someone to network with. So if like Matt was talking, this discussion of middle-aged wives. They tend to get to that point where they go, right, 9:30, cup of decaf tea, a book, and bed. And my wife will do her Sudoku. And she's gone like long before I'm even thinking about going to bed. Like she's in bed really like hours before the kids even go to bed. So you go, okay. So it doesn't matter if I wake up, if I work late. And there's always people in America to network with. There's Canadians to talk to. The Australians are... I've never figured out what time Australians are on. But generally, if I'm not supposed to be awake, the Australians are awake. So there's tons, there's limitless work and planning I can do. So the other night, was it Thursday night when the Red Bull launch happened?
Oh, yeah.
Thursday night, Friday morning.
Friday morning. I was up for all of that. And it started at 3 o'clock UK time, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so, I'm up and I'm just treat it like a work session. The launch is on. We'll talk about the launch itself, but the launch is on. I'm planning show notes with Matt. I'm doing scheduling with Steve. And you go, actually, this makes sense. It's all fine, except I don't know whether it's early in the morning or late at night. What really killed me that day, the only reason I was up, I had not planned. Believe me, I didn't look at the calendar and go, I must be awake for the Ford Red Bull launch in Detroit at 3 a.m. What happened was, I was at home. I'd done all the taxi runs. I'm waiting for the girls to come back from their performing arts. And what did I have? Maybe I had a couple of sniffs of a cheap whiskey, or what Matt would call a daily whiskey.
A daily.
You have your
my
daily
show whiskey.
Yeah. Oh, is the show whiskey your daily whiskey? So that's like a daily drive.
Not always. Show whiskey is always the cheapest. Boy, do I have a story about that. It's always like bought in bulk and is very cheap because it's mostly a prop. Stuff that I actually like to drink is usually it's not expensive.
What we have
in
the UK is if it comes in a box, that's a decent whiskey, and if it's just on the back shelf with the vapes and the cigarettes, then that's your daily driver. But yeah, so I had a couple, because when I'm cooking, I like to have a drink while you're cooking because I find
a little lubrication for the brain cells.
Cooking so mind-numbingly boring, and I'm doing it more because I'm the one at home at the moment. And also, whatever time I finish work or whatever, I'll still set the alarm at the moment for 6:30, get up, make the kids breakfast, get them out the door. So I'm doing a lot of cooking, and I don't drink with breakfast. We'll say that. I have to be clear on that. But yeah, so I had a couple of whiskeys, made them like a really carb-heavy meal. So lasagna, garlic bread, and like potato wedges as well, done up in the air fryer. And it's the most, there's not a vegetable to be seen. Not a vegetable in sight. I'm like, this is my dinner. And it was so delicious. I just kept there was so much of it as well. And so me and my son, who's 15, so 15-year-old boys just hoover up carbs. And I joined him in that. And we were like, let's watch a movie. Oh, so family movie time. Lock, Stock, and... No, we watched Snatch.
Oh, Snatch. I love that one.
Do you like dogs? Yeah. And 10 minutes in, fully just carb, dad napped, daily drive, fell asleep at 8 o'clock.
Bonk.
Yeah. Woke up at 1 a.m., No one had lovingly put a blanket on me or anything. Woke up at 1 a.m. Obviously, heating's gone off. Wake up like an icicle, like a shivering icicle on the, and that's why I was up. So that's why I was up for Detroit. Look, Stuart saying, good to see Spanners is fully prepared for World War III with the hazmat suit in the corner. So it's not the suit, but I have got a Mark II respirator, circa 1990, with a Combat 95 Kevlar helmet in the background. And that is because the UK government said that they are going to recall ex-soldiers up to the age of 65 in case of current event. I'm like, oh no, man, I thought I was clear.
That's going to be, I love that. I love that. But you just stole it. That's mostly what you did.
Stop. I didn't steal it.
You temporarily borrowed it for a very long time.
If you check the records, you'll find that I signed all of my equipment back in. How long have we been waffling on for? We'll get into the show in a few minutes or so. Let's see. What do I want to talk about here? Sean asked this question saying best memory from the army and best story from the army. So shall I share it? No, I don't want to do it. I have got one lined up, but I feel like I'm ready to actually go into the F1 side of things. I might do it post-show. If I've got time, I might do it post-show.
It's been a while since we did a proper post-show waffle. That's true.
Yeah, because normally by the end of the show, everyone's knackered and they're done in. And we've had a pre-call, and it's nice to chat to you guys, on Zoom before we go live. And then we tend to be on stream for 15 minutes. Then if the show is a strict hour, you get to the end of that and go, do you know what? I've talked to Matt enough today. So I've had enough.
Yeah, plenty of me. A little of me does go a long way.
Also, for example, like Christina, you can see her Spanner's tolerance bar. It goes down. It goes down, down throughout the show. And I can see it's empty about a good 20 minutes before we finish. And then that takes another couple of weeks to build back up. Like I can see it in my mind. And there's certain people who have that. Kyle as well. Kyle, I think, needs a refresh of Spanners before he can hang out with me again.
Yeah, no, Kyle definitely is one who's needs his battery recharge time for sure.
Whereas I know Scott can't get enough.
Never.
I love it.
Scott's problem is he's just in the most tired stage of life because you've lost the fresh zest of your 20s. It's gone, I'm afraid, and it doesn't get any better. Your vitality, it never returns to mid-20s level, never. And then you've got the baby as well, of course. And I'm pretty sure soon enough there'll be another little baby too. And so you're losing your initial magic, your godlike invincibility, and you're having literally your soul drained out of you by tiny, tiny little humans who will never stop eating and consuming until they're as big as you.
Yeah.
I'm really selling it, aren't I? Anyway, let's talk F1.
Wow, that side just was so evocative, man. That was like that was like 20 years of my life wrapped up in that one sound.
Quick one, because I was trying to hang out with Scott the other weekend, and it's definitely like a middle-aged dad kind of conversation, which we'll bang up for this. And then as it got closer and closer, it's like, yeah, but the logistics aren't really working out, are they? No, and then we're both going, well, we could just chat on Zoom. Because it was a worky meeting, but we were like, it would have been lovely to come and do beers. But then I looked on the map and it's 2 hours to your house by public transport. I was like, yeah, I do want to see Scott. I'm not sure I wanted 2 hours on the train to see Scott.
It's my fault.
Amazing to me. It's everything's so close there, and it all takes 2 hours. Anything. If I'm in London, I want to visit you 2 hours.
Well, he's on the other side.
2 hours.
You moved to the
Summers,
wrong...
2 hours. Everything's 2 hours.
You moved to the wrong side of London. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The logistics of getting to where I live now from where you are, Spanners, it's like 4 different trains. Yeah. It's just so aggravating, especially if you want to meet up for beers.
Yeah, and Chris lives not too far from you, Chris Stevens, and he was meant to come down for Nicola's gig tonight, and typical Sunday rail replacement service. So he's like, I can't. He goes, it's going to take him like 3 hours to get across because he's got to get off at Billericay, and then get a bus to Colchester, and you just go. He's like, he's like, I'm going to be traveling 3 times as much as the length of the gig. It doesn't work out. The maths does not maths. But okay, right. But this year we do want to hang out more. We have got more events. The first save the date is in there. I'll give the proper details in the intro. But we are late February. We're karting in Milton Keynes. Matt's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're not going to do a show, but we are going to go have a proper karting competition and a little bit of an event afterwards. Some deals in the works, but For example, I've been told as part of the brand things, there has to be like a DJ, like a proper DJ with like boof, 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 later on.
Really?
Yeah.
They couldn't just hire me
And it's going to be party
and your wife to play music.
My
That
wife
would
isn't-
have been so much more
Mrs.
money
Spanner,
kept
yeah.
in-house.
Yeah, there. Stuart just answered that question. Yeah, Matt's going to come over at this time. That looks good. I think actually most of the crew is gonna make it there, but we'll have the live commentary. We're going to try and put a video together of it. I'm speaking to Ben, and then we might have some other events going on. So, like, we might have some influencers who, if you know them, you know them. Sorry, talent. But if you don't, you don't. But they're going to do like an event as we're drinking as well, and they're going to get a little bit of coaching from the Missed Apex crew as well. So yeah, should be fun. Should be fun. Okay, let's do the spinny car and let's get into the show. It's been nice. I haven't heard my own voice through a mic for 2 weeks, and you have to get used to it again. That cringe of like, oh no, that's what I sound like. That's what I sound like all the time.
I always like the sound of my voice on this mic, but
I love the sound of my own voice.
it sounds better to me than it does just in real life on someone's phone on this mic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but most of the time you don't. It's like you don't think about what you look like until you see a photo of yourself. And the worst is when you see a profile photo from the side and you never look at yourself from the side. You go, oh my God, why is my head so deep? Why is there so much head from nose to spine?
The worst part is thinking you look good and then seeing a picture of when you thought you looked good and you're like, oh, I didn't look as I wasn't. No.
Why do I look so tired?
Yeah.
Why aren't I holding my face? Say quickly, when you pose for a picture, you're like that. But if someone catches you like incognito and you're just like you're like, oh, why did I look like? Why would you take a photo of me like that? All right, let's do the show. You are listening to Missed Apex Podcast. We live F1. Welcome to Missed Apex Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Reddy, but my friends call me Spanners. So, let's be friends. We are into launch season. Believe it or not, on January the 18th, we've seen cars on track and we've seen 2 launches. Kind of. So we are going to be talking about some breaking F1 news, news about Lewis Hamilton's race engineer for 2026. And we'll also be going through some of the launch stuff and some of the beefs that are already building up in Formula One. But first, I want to say save the date if you're in the UK or willing to travel to the UK, where we're going to be karting February the 27th in Milton Keynes. We're just finalizing the final details. But if you want to get on that list now, send an email to spanners@missedapex.net. Spanners@missedapex.net with the subject line karting, and just say that you're interested. The second I get confirmation, I'll push it out to those people who've said they're interested first, and the patrons, and then I'll announce it on the show properly. So we are into launch season. 2 launches so far, kind of. We had Red Bull, and I can't believe it's not Red Bull. They launched in Detroit at 3 a.m. UK time. I watched the whole thing, so you don't have to. Not on purpose. I just happened to be awake. I'm not training for the Australian Grand Prix straight away. And we've already got manufacturer beef. The Yanks are at it already. Cadillac and Ford are about 5 minutes into F1, and they've started going at each other in the press. Blue on blue guys, friendly fire. Perez did a long interview. Is that vindication for us Perez fans? He said a lot of things about his time at Red Bull. And we've had a car on track. And we've had internet accounts doing aero analysis on fake AI cars, as well as launch model cars. So this is prime time for the squiggly line gang who are out in force all over social media. We are an independent podcast produced in the podcasting shed with the kind support of our patrons and partners. We aim to bring you a race review before your Monday morning commute. We might be wrong, but we're first. I'm joined in the shed by Tech Time host Matt Trumpets. Hello, Matt.
Hey there. Would you like a cup of advanced sustainable fuel with that?
You know I'm going to have a rant about this sustainable fuel stuff. What do you mean it's not ready? Is it possibly because it's a complete white elephant that has no relevance to actual reality?
Well, I'm not sure I'd go that far, but I
Well, I'm
think
going
in the realm of entirely predictable things, this is entirely predictable.
And we're also joined by YouTube watch-along streamer extraordinaire. It's Scott Stuffey Tuffy. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Spanners. The season, I feel like, is full in swing. Even though we're still a month or so away from the first race, we've had 2 cars on track. One we've actually probably been able to see, and one we saw from the bushes, which was Audi and that fake AI image that everyone was analysing.
So
But
funny.
from what I have seen, dare I say it? Actually, no, I am going to say it. These cars, I'm already preferring the look of them than their predecessors, which we just had the ground effect era of.
So I think we're about 50 days from the first race. The Australian Grand Prix is Sunday, the 8th of March at 4 a.m. Australia, what are you doing to us? So if that's 4 a.m. for us, for Matt, that's 11 p.m. on Saturday. Whatever, we'll be awake. They know they can put it on at any time and we'd be there. But yeah, interesting point that Scott is picking up is we have actually seen these cars now in real. We've seen shots of the Cadillac coming out of the garage, and obviously we've seen them doing some shakedown testing, and then we've seen the launch cars of the Red Bull and the, what are they called now? Alpha Tauri? No, V-Carb. Racing Bulls, right? The fact they called it Racing Bulls, which is RB, which is also the same as Red Bull's RB, this is killing me. So we're going to have to settle on V-Carb. But yeah, so they've had their launches, and obviously that's not the cars that are going to hit the track, but they've got the vague spec of the cars. So we kind of can see what these cars look like. Scott, what is your first impression when you see the general shape of these cars?
I love it already, to be honest with you. I just feel like that, especially when you look at it from kind of the front on angle, slightly to the side, the front wings now are slightly inwards of the wheel arches, and it's like a callback to the 2008, 2009 cars, which I loved. And I just think, yeah, they just look, I can't really pinpoint it, but they just do look so much better already to the eye than that of the ground effect era cars, which were large, bulky. The front nose was like up off the floor because of the ground effects and having to generate the Venturi tunnels, like all the downforce through them. Like it just, Cadillac could just put an all carbon livery out, I think, for the first race of the season, and it would look good. But then when we saw the Red Bull livery, which I am a fan of, I think going back to the 2013 Vettel era type livery, remember when they had the Infinity sponsor on there, even though we know it's not the full finished version, there's some bits on there to mislead people, or the squiggly line gangs, basically. I think I still like what I've seen thus far, and I'm intrigued to see what the other teams are going to put out.
It looks like a step back towards that kind of 2006, 2007 era, and that's partly the shape of the front wings. And yeah, the nose is being low to the ground, I think has always been an essential memory in my mind. If I think back to classic cars, if I think to the original Red 5, Nigel Mansell in his Williams, I think about these cars kind of scooping their way through the atmosphere and slicing their way underneath the air. And then you've got the drivers look like they're sitting higher somehow. They look more prominent. I think in the most recent cars, the driver has looked completely lost in this kind of cockpit, like a jet fighter pilot. Whereas when I saw, I think it was Perez coming out of the Cadillac garage, it just kind of looked like it was a more prominent feature of the car, the driver, and also with the way the air, the side pods, the sidey things are raised up. The whole thing just looks a bit more aggressive and racy and attacking.
Yeah, and something that just pops into my mind as well that might be why it's more aesthetically pleasing on the eyes. The tyres are slightly smaller this year, so the whole car in itself, we know, is only slightly it's slightly shorter and narrower, but those small margins combined with the tyres not being as bulky as they were the past few seasons, I think just overall yeah, it just looks a lot more pleasant on the eye at first look, even with an all black carbon livery. And I think it's going to look even better when we see the varying, hopefully, varying different coloured liveries that we will get from the remaining teams.
What Cadillac are worrying me. They're worrying me with the livery.
Why?
Because they put that cut and shut on a press release where the front half was silver and then it was like a straight line and then the back half was red. Because then from the rear, it's going to look red and then from the front, it's going to look silver.
Isn't that Audi?
Oh, is that Audi? Oh, okay. Whew. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right.
No, Cadillac, the
Beg
only
your
thing
pardon.
Cadillac have done thus far is because if you don't do your official livery reveal before the shakedown, can't be officially called a test due to the naming rights that Bahrain have, they have, I think, supposedly they're clearly allowed to do. Teams have to run an all carbon livery, but it seems they've been able to put the Cadillac logo on like the engine cover. That's all they're able to do. Full livery reveal has to wait until after for Bahrain.
It's interesting. When you said, well, it was Audi that did that, I'm like, oh, phew, because I sort of don't mind what Audi look like because I've got less excitement.
You're less invested?
Yeah, I'm less invested. Whereas, Team America coming in and being all like, oh, yeah, here we go, is like what I need. I need Cadillac to be cool. America does a couple of things right, which is be cool, have fun out loud, have fun on purpose, and and influence world pop culture. You cannot come in there with a lame-looking livery. They need to smash it.
Just before Matt jumps in, I agree because Cadillac are known throughout motorsport for their bright liveries, the yellow, the blue, like purple. Like they've had some very iconic liveries in their history, and I think we'd all be disappointed if it's not that like eye-catching livery.
What's the worst they could do?
All black and silver. The black and silver, which yes is part of their logo, but I think that'd be a massive cop-out. And Audi are known for silver. They're known for the more blander colours. So I think
he said bland.
Well, it is really the silver, and I mean it's synonymous with their brand, but we don't have much expectation for them. Whereas Cadillac have gone bright and beautiful, and I hope they did the same with F1 as well.
When you see an Audi behind you in your wing mirrors in the UK, you know they're just going to be going too fast. You know they're going to slam it across a roundabout. You know they're not going to indicate, and they're just annoying. So I think that is part of why I'm not excited about Audi, and I'm kind of subconsciously wishing for their doom. Any news that comes out about Audi that's positive, I'm like, whatever. That's going to be yeah. I didn't even know I had that bias. That's why I've been anti the whole Audi thing. It's like if BMW came back into F1, I would
you be the same with BMW?
Yeah, BMW. They'd definitely be the baddies. Anyone, like when I meet someone, I'm like, oh, they seem nice, and then they go to the car park and get in a BMW. I'm like, oh, but they seemed so nice.
Imagine being the marketing executive listening to this and saying, oh, we'll never have spanners as a fan because of the people who drive our car in real life.
Well, I don't know. Maybe fit indicators to your BMWs. And then, anyway, sorry, Matt, you've been very patient.
I have been. No, I think it's interesting. The reason you are reacting, and you sort of put your finger on it, is a lot of these regulations really go back to pre-2014, pre-2009, the wings. But also, Scott mentioned the dimensions, and I looked them up while you guys were talking about whatever you were talking about. 10 centimeters, 100 mil narrower, 200 mil shorter,
Tires.
30 kilograms lighter. But on the grid, because of the fuel restriction, they're actually going to be 70 kilograms in real life lighter than the previous generation of cars. A lot of good things. And you mentioned the tires, too. Small thing about the tires, the sidewalls are actually going to be slightly taller in relationship to the tread block. And that's a good thing for the drivers. It gives them a little extra margin to try and rotate the car and find the limit without the car just being gone before they realize it. That's it. I like the... What are we talking about? We're talking about how the cars look. The renders, yes. Red Bull's renders were slightly developed, but all of the cars we're seeing right now, like, you go in the showroom and they're like, well, here's the base model. And you're like, it looks like a box. But here's the super sport rally race model. And it's got like wings and aero kit and everything like that. The cars we're seeing right now are if you've seen anything on track, it's absolutely base model. And I only have one more prediction for you, which is that the wakeboards in this regulation set will be the front wing end plates of the last regulation set.
Ooh.
In that I don't expect turn one to be left without at least one or two of those trophies.
What is a wakeboard, please?
Right. So if you look at the car, you see these projecty bits in front of the floor.
Oh, yes, I have seen them.
That aren't attached to anything.
Yeah, that struck me as odd.
That
they look out of place.
Inboard of the front wheel. All right. So those to me look, well, not necessarily designed for combat, shall we say. And I expect that because you see so many of the side-to-side contacts into turn one at the start. If there's going to be broken parts, it's going to be less the front wing. It's going to be a lot more of those parts, I think.
Yeah, well, they're just inside the line of the wheels, aren't they? But you can easily see another person's front wheel coming in and
that's why I see like that turn one craziness, people going off track, coming back on. That's where you have those, like, because you see people's side pods get torn up too. Those will go first.
They look ugly. Why are they there? What's the purpose of having
I'm so glad you signed me up to give an hour and a half aerodynamics lecture.
Did you already say it on the tech time? Because I only got 20 minutes into the tech time.
Yeah, no, I had thought about this. Okay. So this is the thing, like, you know how God sent the locust as a plague? Right? So if you're an aerodynamicist, God didn't send locusts. God sent rotating open wheels. They are an absolute plague for aerodynamicists. And the FIA has intentionally taken away all of their favorite toys for solving this problem. Not all of them, and there's probably a lot in the loopholes that will get found. But what they did do is they gave them these big bits, what they're calling front wheel wakeboards, or possibly deflectors. We'll see what the comms teams come up with. To manage the turbulence coming off, help manage the turbulence coming off of the front wheel and keep it from getting ingested underneath the floor and ruining the diffuser performance. So it's just basically a big tool to keep front wheel turbulence away from the car a little bit. That's all.
Scott, this is making me, because you and me are like, car looks pretty. And then Matt said all of that.
Well, it only looks, we've got you posted a bird's eye image of the car there
in the patron chat. Yeah. Hey, hi, patrons.
I don't think, I mean, how often are we really going to see that image? I think from side
That's
on,
true.
From the TV cameras, it's not going to play into the overall aesthetic look. It depends on obviously how the teams decide to interpret that, because I did listen to the tech time all the way through.
Well
because
done.
I haven't been.
I'm impressed. Better than some people on this show.
There was a lot of interesting information, and I think that the thing that I really took away from it was when Summers said, "These regulations, as always, are about to try and reduce the dirty air." That's the whole reason why we're moving to this regulation. It's all about the inwash rather than outwash. And
don't worry about the baby in the background, Scott.
You can hear her in the background.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's fine. She's just woken up from her nap. And the designers are going to try and produce as much outwash as they possibly can within the regulations. And this item here, clearly, I think, and prove me if I'm wrong, Matt, is something that is I think is going to be utilised by the teams. They're going to look at to try and maximise as much outwash as possible to try and generate as much downforce and increased performance.
The equation is really simple. Of all the ways to deal with the aerodynamics issues presented by these cars, outwash is by far the best. So no matter what you say in your regulations, the teams sit down and immediately go, how can I generate outwash with this set of regulations? How much can I generate? Where can I generate it? And, generally speaking, what can I get away with? And right now, probably not a ton. They're going to go back and look in their file drawers from pre-2009, look around if anyone was there who actually understands what they find there, which we discussed on Tech Time a bit. And then they're going to get to work. And what we're seeing right now, because remember, the test we're about to get in Barcelona is a private test. It's not even a FIA test. There's no observers. It's nothing but the team saying, it's probably a good idea if we get these things on track and have a couple of days just to do a shakedown. So this will have been intentionally designed to be ready in time. So give me something simple and quick, please. Based on the ideas that we're working on for what we're going to see at the end of second testing.
My instinct with the Barcelona test and what Cadillac were doing at Silverstone is this is very much about trying to make sure the power units go. So make car go. And make sure the rest of the car doesn't get in the way of the engine.
Well, something that was reported from the Cadillac shakedown was that they were supposed to be on track in the morning, and apparently they took the whole day to put the car together or sort a potential issue out with the car before it actually got out and hit the track at 4 in the afternoon. So I think there were like 6 hours delayed.
Honestly,
delay.
With a complex system, Scott, that is very normal. Like my thing was like radars and anti-aircraft weapon systems, and you take it out on testing, you take a prototype out, and then something you just did not think about. But out of those shakedowns, you go, if we don't, because we didn't do these kind of checks, actually this system wasn't ready. The next time you go out, you've ironed that out. So I don't think that's much to be concerned about.
No, and that's why we've got 3 test sessions this year rather than last year, where we had one at the end of a regulation set, where everyone knows we're in the 4th year of that regulations and all the teams know how everything works. This is a problem solving for these teams. It's a lot of, they're going to have to take back all the data that they're going to gather. And look, some teams may even give up after a day of testing and go, we need to go back completely to the drawing board because something is fundamentally wrong. I mean, it's going to be an interesting testing period.
It is. And you're right. A big portion of this is because they've changed not just the power unit, but the power unit and the aerodynamic regulations. And they didn't just go back to what they had before. You've now got front and rear wing aerodynamics that are active. So that needs to be ironed out. You want those systems to be bulletproof. You want to make sure your power unit functions, fits, all of your accessories, the looms, everything works. But I want to remind people, if you have Netflix, there's Drive to Survive. But before there was Drive to Survive, they did a preseason with McLaren about getting the Honda power unit with Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn. It's still up. And if you want to get an idea of what could really go wrong for these teams, that's an excellent place to go watch them. Just trying to fit the power unit in and start it for the first time is just mental. It's absolutely mental.
If you don't mind watching and listening to Spanners, and you're in the US and you're an F1 fan, go, and you're not already subscribed to Netflix, subscribe now for the season. Subscribe to Netflix. I'll see you there. See you there. Spanners, Netflix, F1. I'm not giving anything away. It was all in the press. But anyway, the car looks cool. I wonder how much of F1, when they were talking about the tech regs, oh yeah, we've got to reduce aero wash. Yeah, we need the active aero. Yeah, we've got to do this and put ourselves in line with manufacturers' hybrid aspirations. Oh yeah, no, we need sustainable fuels. There had to be one guy in the room going, this thing needs to look cool. Do you know why? Because it's Formula One and it's like the coolest sport in the world. Let's get the nose thing down. Make the nose dippy down. Yeah, but that removes it. Shh, shush, Derek, shush. We're making it look cool. That's what we're going for here. And so the teams are starting to do their car launches. I stayed up and watched the entire Red Bull and V-Carb launch at 3 a.m. UK time as it launched in Detroit, and that is presumably because of the Ford thing. And it was very American, the launch. I would not recommend going back and watching the whole thing. And if there is anybody out there listening who's planning an F1 launch and is going to broadcast it live to be consumed by people like me, I would vote that you go back and look at, say, the Spice Girls launch of the McLaren back in the day. That's what I'm looking for. What I saw with the Red Bull launch reminds me of every presentation we had from the CEO and directors when I was in the defense industry. And they come out and they talk about their aims and they say things like synergy, stuff that absolutely kills in the boardroom and in front of the shareholders. But oh my God, this is our vision. No, show me the pretty car. And I was up, and some of the patrons were up at 3 a.m. with me. Maria in the live chat said, I don't know why I'm watching this. Please just show me the pretty car. To some extent, you have to pay the ferryman, and you have to let the Ford people announce themselves to the world as part of F1. That's all cool, but everyone is there just to see the pretty car. And when it's Red Bull and V-Carb, and you think, it's pretty much going to be the same livery anyway, I did find myself thinking, why am I sticking with this? Why am I watching show reels of of people on skateboards and jumping out of planes. But it was all professionally done. It was kind of strange that VCarb got tacked onto the end of it. This philosophy of no, these are two entirely independent teams. How dare you suggest that Red Bull's a 4-car team? Basically thrown out of the window for this launch. It's very much now. There's not only no doubt that it's a 4-car team. They're kind of like, yeah, of course, yeah, we've always been a 4-car team. What do you mean entirely separate teams? But yeah, Scott, did you tune in? Did you watch any of this Red Bull launch?
I debated waking up for it. I think like everyone else, when we found out the starting time, I just went, I can't justify getting up for just a car reveal, a race, and a practice session. But
you made a good choice.
I'm going to, unfortunately, Spanners, I failed to mention this because I actually wanted to hold it for the podcast.
Okay.
Did you just said live broadcast?
Yeah.
Did you know it actually wasn't live?
I'd forgotten that. Yeah, someone did tell me at the time because the pictures got leaked at 2 a.m. as well. Which
so,
kind of ruined it.
Do you know how earlier then? So it went live at 3 a.m. on YouTube. Yeah. They filmed it 2 hours prior, so that could have started at 1 a.m.
You get.
So I don't understand why they decided to take the time to edit things and release it at 3 a.m. and act like it was live, because apparently there was quite a few slip-ups.
Really? Oh,
with the time. I think one of the presenters went, and it's 1 a.m. right now, and it's like, is it?
So
it's 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. for the majority of the rest of the world.
One of the presenters was very, very good, and one of the presenters, I think, was new, and it was a little bit like a sixth form assignment to like read out the thing, and obviously they'd had pre-planned like hype now and not reading the crowd at all. So I can fully imagine there's edits, but also they left in Max Verstappen saying, "Do you want to look at my ass?" when they were doing the team kit, and they said, "Can we have a twirl?" Verstappen goes, "Why? You want to look at my ass?" All right, they left that in.
I do like car reveal season because it's like the run up to, it's getting our hype for the season ahead, and it's become tradition now. But I do think there's a limit to how long these things go on for. Yes, you can introduce new partnerships and so forth, because ultimately that's what brings the money in, and especially with Ford reintroducing themselves to F1 after so many years. But I mean, do you need that long of a time? Yes, like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I still think, I don't think it was last year. Maybe it was last year or the year before. I still think Williams done the best car reveal I've seen for quite some time, is that they were actually at Silverstone. They spoke to James Vowles and spoke about the partnerships for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then they went, here's our new car, and here's Carlos Sainz doing an installation lap. So you got to see the car actually out on track at the same time, hear the little radio messages between him and his engineer, and it's like, oh, absolutely brilliant. It's not just a graphic or a car model. This is like a working car. So yeah, there's a limit, isn't there, with the short attention span of everyone now, and I think that they're still kind of missing the point with some of these car reveals.
It felt very Ford-led. Now, there's beef between Cadillac and Ford in the press at the moment, which I desperately want to get into. But Ford went into it with, it was one of the ancestors of Henry Ford, so Henry Ford's grandson or something. And like, the Americans love hyping people up, don't they? So when it was his turn to talk, he was like, hey, but first of all, let's give it up for Laurent. Laurent, he's such a great guy. And then the crowd has to kind of cheer. That wouldn't happen, in a UK setting. They're like, oh, hand you over to Dave now. He's all right, turn it, but I guess he knows engines. But so they did a lot about the Ford side, and they went live to the UK team, who I guess were up at 1 a.m. and it was very staged, where there was the engineers looking intently at their computers and the dyno presumably out of shot to the left, and a very tired engineer going, "Oh yeah, we're at it. We're at it all hours here. Please let me go to bed. Please let me go to bed." But yeah, Ford were definitely stamping their authority over it and going, yeah, this is Ford re-entering F1. But Cadillac CEO Dan Tauris said, he claimed the Red Bull Ford partnership is merely a marketing agreement. Very interesting. That was my initial thought on here. Or like, I thought that Ford would do like a token providing the engine management electronics or something like that. he continues, it's a marketing agreement without true industrial commitment. And he emphasized that General Motors is an equity owner in the new Cadillac team, deeply embedded from an engineering standpoint from day one. And we got a response from Ford. And this is all public in the press. Oh, America, you do it best. Bill Ford, executive chairman of the Ford Motor Company, said that the remarks from Taurus were patently absurd and laughable. He hit back by pointing out, fairly, by the way, that the Cadillac team will run a Ferrari engine, not a Cadillac GM engine for its debut, suggesting that their own project is less of a corporate works effort than advertised. And what's interesting here is that they've gone straight to ad hominems. They're not arguing from their point of view or being positive about their contribution as much as they're being negative and attacking the other side. Matt, what is going on with America? Once again, America, calm down.
Well, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, this is hardly a new story for the U.S. Ford, GM in competition, talking smack about each other. Really?
Is that right?
Are you kidding me?
I didn't know that. Okay, so this is a long-running...
It's a story as old as time.
Oh, I'm on board. I'm all in.
Say.
Do we have to pick a side? Who do we pick?
You got to pick a side. The other thing I want to fit in real quick before I get a little deeper into this is that the Taurus is in fact the head of Cadillac and financed the Cadillac race team, but he's not a GM person. So this isn't like the president of GM going after Ford. This is more of a race team thing. That said, Ford, I think, was originally looking forward to a very well-defined role within Red Bull power units of helping them mainly on the energy side. But they've actually wound up doing a fair amount of stuff for them, which I know independently. When they say they're working around the clock, like they actually kind of are. One of the bigger things they have been doing is centering 3D printing metal parts for the team. They've worked a lot on the turbochargers, and they're also doing a lot of the software modeling for the simulator and things like that. So this is stuff that you actually think about what Ford has done and what they do for all of their race teams. And this is almost reminding me of like the Toyota Haas thing, where they really do have a lot of expertise here. So they run this stuff out and then it goes over to Red Bull into the simulator for the test drivers to see how those new parts are working in relationship to everything else.
I absolutely love it. More of this, please, because if the drivers are not going to get at each other's throats anymore because they're all friends off track, well, let the manufacturers do it. We need some spice in sport. It's always good for the sport. And look, if this is the case, I'm fully on board with Cadillac to hopefully hit this entry into F1. I hope they do really well, because Ford are they're cheating a little bit, aren't they? They're not doing it from fresh, bringing in a new team and starting from scratch. They've gone, let's go to one of the best teams and partner with them, shall we? So in that regard, in this instance, Cadillac is the underdog. So let's support Cadillac to get up there so we can have this Caddy versus Ford rivalry in the future at the top of F1.
It's really interesting. I love this because we can include Audi in this chat, because Audi has thrown some stones at Cadillac. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You're not making your own engine. You're not a real... Yeah,
Audi said that.
But Audi, you bought an existing race team with a long history and already hired engineers.
Yeah. It's like
and just put your name on it, and you decided to make an engine to go with it. That's not... Cadillac had no team. And I think we can all agree that of the things that are hardest, starting from scratch with the race team and no facilities is going to be, that's the top of the list. I don't care where you get your power unit from.
Isn't it? Have these guys never heard "Don't throw stones at glass house" if you live in a glass house? Like, but I'm all here for it. If the drivers aren't going to provide this for us, I mean, team principals. I mean, it may be worthwhile actually tuning into the team principal conferences in the future.
I didn't know Audi were part of this as well. Because Audi, like, own power unit, that is big, but everything else is very much the same as what Alfa Romeo did with Sauber.
Also, it seems to be that all the new boys are really throwing shade at the rest of the field, because the head of their marketing office, the chief marketing officer at Audi, did an interview, and he said that he was talking about bringing on Revolut, the title sponsor, and he ended up throwing shade at the HP design.
Oh yes,
I think it was.
Yes.
Actually, was it Audi's? Sorry, chief marketing officer of not Audi, Revolut, and
wow,
he's the naming sponsor of Audi, and he threw shade at the HP partnership and the livery design with Ferrari, saying you don't put blue on a red car.
Yeah, so that's Antoine Dunel, the chief marketing officer of Audi's sponsor Revolut. So like the sponsors are weighing in there as well, like the seconds. You know, they're championing their teams too. And he said, how can you put blue on a red car? No offense. It's never a good start, is it? No offense. But I think what HP and Ferrari have done to their cars is not good from a design perspective. How can you put blue on a red car? This is not good. And that has been echoed by a lot of people. The only place the HP logo actually looks good is on the Ferrari team shirts. It looks good somehow there. But everywhere else on the car, and when they've done the special things where they've made a big chunk of the car white, I think they made the engine cover white, didn't they, to make the HP logo pop. And they pretended it was because, it's the 50th anniversary of something. They just
I am. Yeah,
but
sorry,
go ahead. When you actually look into the amount of times, that takes all the focus, of course. But it's like HP are a bit insecure because the amount of times they've slapped their logo on the Ferrari is obscene. Like, actually go and look at last year's Ferrari livery and look at the amount of times you can see HP. I understand it's all about brand awareness, and you want the HP logo to be seen from every angle possible. But my goodness, it is just if there's a free space, the HP logo is there on that car, and it's just ridiculous. So I wonder if Revolut will do the same with Audi. With those comments, I doubt they probably will.
In the chat, I've put that blue livery, the livery where they just, it looks like a hack and slash.
That looks like, do you remember the team that wanted to run two different liveries in the same race and they were told no? So they split them down the middle and ran them on opposite sides and got in trouble that way instead.
Which team was that? I know Dragon did it in Formula E.
It was a Formula One team back in the day. I don't know, it would be Minardi or one of
Jordan.
Not Benetton,
that seems like something that Jordan would do.
Jordan, maybe. Yeah, it was one of those teams. But that's looking at this HP logo. I was going to not agree with design complaints, but now that I've seen it, I actually have to agree. That is a remarkably terrible integration.
It was Miami. It was the Miami livery where they really went all out on doing that.
But I'm kind of sad that Ferrari didn't go yellow, because they do have a yellow livery that is classic for them. And I'm just like, come on, you've got Lewis there. Come on, think, guys, think.
Do you really want Lewis?
Lovely yellow. That would just kill. That would kill.
Do you want Lewis to win his 9th title and it being a yellow Ferrari? No, sorry.
Yes.
It's got to be. It's got to be red.
How often have they run that color? That would be so special. That would be like super duper special.
With his classic Lewis Hamilton yellow as well. Maybe I can see the case. We have obviously got Lewis Hamilton news to discuss, and that will be the next topic. But yeah, I didn't realize how excited I am about this. The brands just weighing in on each other, like all these new kids on the block coming in, going fight. I choose
it's boxing weigh-in time in Formula One. That's what it is.
I choose war. So do you know who hasn't entered the fray yet? Because Toyota are creeping in. They're creeping back in, aren't they, with Haas? So Haas is now Haas TGR or something, isn't it? For this season officially is their team name. And
TRD?
TRD, yeah. And so...
no, TGR. Toyota Guzzi Racing.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm going to be all... inside whispers here from industry conversations, from work related project meetings. I am heavily convinced that Toyota are doing what the other guys are doing, what Audi are doing, what Cadillac are doing, what Ford are doing, which is really trying to get back into F1, but they're doing it much more on the quiet. But I think that Toyota in other motorsports are talking about this project into F1 more openly internally, as in I don't know why they're not doing a big announcement that they're coming back into F1, but they are, I think, marching towards a Toyota presence in F1 proper.
Yeah, I agree. I think as soon as they announced their technical partnership was it last year or even the year before, that was them, in my opinion, dipping their toe back into F1 just to see the lay of the land, see how it's going. And if you were going to target a team, it was already by then that Audi was announced that they were going to be taking over Sauber at the time. So Haas is the only other team on the grid where it makes sense that, you know what, we could buy this team if necessary. It's an existing team, and I think allegedly Gene Haas isn't in the best of health. Unfortunately, I wish him all the best, but that could mean that he would want to potentially sell up unless he passes it down to whoever. So all of these factors can mean that, look, you position yourself with that sort of team, and eventually we make our way back into the sport, but we're not going to shout from the rooftops about it. We're going to do it a step-by-step process.
Yeah, and this makes sense. I mean, I will say, Scott, of all the panelists that are on the show, you are absolutely dead level best at saying what I'm about to say once you're done. It's really impressive. Yeah, Gene Haas is, as we like to say over here, no spring chicken, health issues aside. And he is a sole owner of the team. And if you are in that position and you are, and I think he is, sort of invested in this as part of his legacy in motorsports, then you want someone you trust and who you know can properly do the job on board with, let's just call it succession planning, like it's a corporate thing. And Toyota would be the one. And furthermore, and this is the thing that I really like about it, I think they're not making a big deal about it because they know how wrong it can go. Because they weren't, I mean, was it 2008? Is that when they left last time?
Yeah, and they sunk a lot of cash into F1 at the time as well. Yeah.
So it's much better to just kind of show up and gradually infuse the team and not raise those expectations. But the other thing about Toyota that I think a lot of people are overlooking here, Ford, GM, right? Yeah, Ford, GM. Who's the third technical partner in NASCAR? Toyota.
Yeah.
Mr. 2311. Yes, thank you very much. Some of us remember these things.
Give us more than a second to think about it and not embarrass ourselves in front of our friends at 2311.
God.
I will also say as well, key to I believe the Toyota partnership at the moment is Komatsu, the team principal. He is Japanese. The Japanese link to Toyota would be one that obviously the language barrier for one, he'd be able to ensure that that's not an issue. And I did just have a quick look at his history. I don't believe he has, from a quick search here, have any ties to Toyota through his life. But even so, the Japanese, obviously, they have a culture, and working with one of their fellow countrymen would be definitely enticing to them in that Japanese and an American team.
All right. Where are we? None of this was planned, by the way. That all just flowed. So I think we've done the kind of the launch stuff. I think the last thing I have to say about... I've got one more launch topic, and let's do yours first then, Matt.
Right. Okay, I was just going to run through real quick. I was just going to do a quick overview of what's happened in real life versus livery. So in real life, we've seen the RBR and can't believe it's not RBR cars, show cars and develop renders. Cadillac and Audi, we've both seen cars on track. McLaren has fired their power unit up, which means they at least have one for testing, which is not a guarantee if you're a Mercedes customer right now. Rumors, but they themselves admitted it was going to be a challenge to get the power units to everybody on time. And we have, worryingly, if you're Aston, Honda fired their power unit up on the dyno the 12th of December, and we've heard nothing from them since.
But that is in line with the general not hearing anything from Aston Martin anyway, so I'm not overly concerned about that.
And they have, I can't remember exactly the date, I think, the next week or so is going to be very busy for car reveals and engine reveals as well. Honda's engine reveal is the 29th.
Again, I was saving that for the last thing. Because if you're going to watch anything, the Honda engine reveal is the thing you should go watch on the 20th, right, Scott?
as I said, I think it was 20-something. It's definitely before the shakedown in Barcelona. But next week, tomorrow, as we are recording this, it will be Haas. They like to just do it quick and simple, a social media post. The 20th of Jan is Audi's reveal. 22nd is Mercedes. Both on the 23rd is Ferrari and Alpine. And then that's the teams before the shakedown. So theoretically, we should see Williams, Cadillac, McLaren, and Aston Martin all run carbon liveries on the Barcelona shakedown, which no doubt images and videos will be leaked because people will be deploying those who are good at climbing fences and
when's
taking
the
videos
when's the
from
Barcelona
bushes.
test? Do you know?
26th to the 30th
Of Feb.
January.
Of January. God, there is
Bahrain
no break
is
in F1.
11th to the 13th and 18th to the 20th of February.
Right. If there's anyone listening that has access to that Barcelona test, come on, sneak me in. Come on. There's got to be an excuse. Get me in as like the carrying your bags or whatever.
Well, did you see? We didn't touch upon this, but did you see the images, the trackside images that got taken by the Audi? So there was a shot that went
Of the
viral.
Audi?
Yeah. So when they did their shakedown at Barcelona, right?
No.
They went. Someone took a video of it going down the start-finish straight. It was the first time we'd kind of really seen the Audi engine or heard these new engines, right?
You shared that.
Do you know how he recorded it?
Go on.
He was wearing the Ray-Ban Meta glasses.
Ray-Ban.
So he wasn't even carrying a phone. He just dashed out of the garage because he was there at the track and just watched it come past. And everyone was like, "How did he get this?" And he got ushered away by security, but they didn't think anything of it because he's just wearing a pair of glasses. And that's how that footage was captured, which I thought was a very smart idea to do. So credit to that guy.
Man, if there's a way we can jump the fence at Barcelona, I'm there.
Yeah,
I wanna
let
be
me
there.
know.
So the only other launch thing I had was they interviewed the Red Bull drivers, all four of them, and the V-carb side of it seemed like a little bit more of a struggle from a presentation point of view. And I have to say, massive hats off to Liam Lawson, who I think saved that launch and was very personable and kind of understood the drill. Also, let me see if I got this right. Arvid Lindblad. Yeah. Also seems very media savvy and friendly as well. And one thing to note is he's already being asked by the press about his ethnicity and his mixed background. So he is, I believe, running under a UK flag, right? So I think people are going to be much more accepting of him as a UK driver than the weird thing that happens with Alex Albon. So Alex Albon chooses to drive under a Thai license, and there may be some sponsorship stuff associated with that, but also there's sort of nothing wrong, I think, with honouring part of your family and your background. If you were with Alex Albon in the pub, I think there's no doubt Alex Albon is a Brit. He's raised British, culturally British, but he's also obviously got that family background. And it's a nice thing to go, well, Thailand's not represented, so running with the Thai flag. I would be very tempted to do that. And I could bore you at length with my close call with being in the Olympics with another flag, which may well happen in 2030 when I can't remember when the next Olympics is after the American one. But anyway.
Oh, no, just tell us the sport now. Is it walking? Are you doing Olympic walking?
I don't want to say... I have not given up on my Olympic dream, and it won't be under a UK flag. That's all I'll say.
Does it involve flags?
It involves flags, for sure it involves flags. So Arvind Lindblad, that's a very kind of Scandinavian name. So I think he's got a Swedish father and a Punjab Indian mother. He as well is culturally British, but he seems very excited to be kind of representing that Indian fan base and the Scandinavian fan base as well. So they've lost their Magnussen, they've lost their Chanduk. So those fan bases get to be represented on the grid as well, and he seems very happy and open about it. So I'm already very impressed with Lindblad from that personable point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because there is no Swedish driver on the grid right now. Was it Ronnie Peterson? Might have been the last one. And
no.
Again,
Ericsson.
Oh, Ericsson, right? Yeah. You're right. Sorry, I don't know why I forgot about Ericsson. In my apologies, Ericsson. You're a good driver, but it made me think of there hadn't been a Swedish Grand Prix. There used to have a race in Sweden back in the day. But yeah, he didn't choose to be an Indian driver. He chose to be a UK driver. And you do sort of wonder how much that's involved in, I say Indian, but yeah.
No, because I think in the UK, I don't know if you have similar things in other countries. Like you can definitely be an Indian Brit, or you can be a Pakistani Brit, or you can be a
same thing here.
British,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
Italian American.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So yeah, him going under a UK flag is nothing against his Indian heritage. Like,
No.
There's no problem even with like British Indians, but then when it comes to cricket, they're supporting India. That doesn't make them any less British to do that. Yeah. So Lawson was very good on that. The one thing that really struck out to me was the Hadjar question, where they said, "What is your aim for 2026?" And the home run would have been win the world championship, because you're in a top car, right? You're in a championship winning car. This car has won a lot of titles in the drivers and constructors championship. You finally made it. Just say, I want to win the world championship. And he just couldn't. He struck out. He said, I'm aiming for my maiden race win. And there was a long pause before that. And then he kind of went, at least, as a follow-up, as a save. But your aim is to beat your teammate. But the fact that he couldn't even jokingly say, well, I want to come and, I want to give Max a real challenge. I want to beat Max. I want to be world champion. To say, I'm hoping for a race win, made me go, oh no. Oh, no.
Go on, Scott. I got something too.
I think Isaac Hadjar, there's a smart answer, because I think Isaac Hadjar is of the new generation. No, I think he's of the new generation who is very aware. Maybe doesn't participate in it, but I think he's aware of what goes on social media. I saw like an interview with him with, I can't remember who it was with, and they asked, "Oh, are you aware of like the memes that you created last year?" And he instantly went, "Yeah." Like he is
all over it.
I think he's aware, and he's also not stupid. He knows who has come before him and who has failed. So you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you stand there with your chest pumped out saying, "Yeah, I'm going to win the world championship. My aim is to beat my teammate." A lot of people would respect that, and a lot of people would go, "You're kidding yourself, kid." And so he's played down. What do we always say on this podcast, Spanners? What's the happiness to a...
The secret to life...
Under promise, over perform.
No. The secret to happiness is low expectations.
Exactly. Or under promise and over deliver. And I think that's Hadjar's preference. I mean, there was talks about him being promoted in the middle of last year, and he was like, no, I want to stay in this car for the end of the year.
Well, he probably really did, though.
I know. But he was smart enough to know, it's only my first year in F1, guys. Like, give me a little bit of breathing room. So I look, I don't think it's just him playing down expectations. It seems like the whole team is playing down expectations for this year. Laurent Mekies did an interview, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of, it's a new partnership. We need to see how it goes. Like playing down his expectations, basically saying like, we don't, pretty much admitting they don't think they're going to be able to fight for the world
we
championship.
are worried about the English longbows that can penetrate our armor from very far away. That's what he said.
Well, they weren't. That was the problem. But no, I think it's a very interesting answer from Hadjar, because you're correct. The PR answer is always, my goal is beat my teammate, win the championship. But that's also such a boring answer. And maybe if they'd asked him, back in beginning of December, right after the test, he might have said something like that. But let's face it, he's been in the simulator. Max has been in the simulator. He knows what the story is now. And so his answer is very revealing, because really what he should have said, but would never say, again, I think because of the social media thing, is my goal is to be a slightly better Perez. That's it.
Well, that brings
win a couple of races, be closer than anybody else has been to Max. And then I might as well have won a world championship as far as everybody else is concerned, because I will have been his best teammate in a decade, right?
How do you think you're going to do in this boxing match? Well, I'd like to land a punch or two. I know I'm going to end up face down on the canvas, but no, I don't like it. But that does bring us onto Perez.
You're welcome.
I feel I should do a I should say, if you don't watch the YouTube side, go and subscribe to the YouTube. And if you're a YouTuber, go and subscribe to the audio as well. Just so you've got it, just in case. But you'll notice the graphics. We have our own Missed Apex car, and we are going to be doing our own livery launch for our Missed Apex 2026 car. Uncle Steve has been working very hard on that, and a suite of new graphics for our YouTube channel and socials as well. So yeah, Sergio Perez gave a long interview in Spanish. The only English one I've seen is when he did Hot Ones. The show Hot Ones, where they have chicken hot wings, and him and Bottas had to ask questions, and if they didn't want to answer it, then they had to eat the hot wing. And I have to say, so far, Bottas is winning that teammate battle, hands down. Perez absolutely fully chickened out of eating the hot wings. Bottas gave better answers, ate more wings. Bottas won that entirely. But yeah, the more interesting one was the one he gave about his time at Red Bull, and some highlights of that are that Christian Horner sat him down and he said, well, we have to run a second car, but this is Max's team. This is Max's project. You're going to be here to help him. And that's the thing I was joking about years ago when I was saying that Red Bull said they run a second car because you're supposed to. And he said when he was faster than Verstappen, which did happen, you have to cast your mind back, but it did happen on occasion. That was a problem because there was tension. If you're not fast enough, then that's a problem. So basically everything else everything is a problem, whether you're faster or slower. The whole thing is built around Max, the car direction, the team gravity is Verstappen centered. The second driver, it just ends up chasing this moving target. So he said the quiet bit out loud, but I will remind everyone that talking about the second car not being the same was seen as a crazy conspiracy theory for years and years. I feel like it is now established law of Red Bull that the second driver does not get the same car, does not get input into the team, and does not get the same treatment. I don't know why that was so controversial for so long, but as a Perez fan who came under huge fire from the likes of Alex and Brad's over the course of Perez's time at Red Bull, do we not get some redemption? Do we not get some? Yes, obviously he didn't have a chance.
Yeah, after seeing that interview and seeing the quotes from it, this is only one side of the story, of course, and
the correct side.
You need both sides of the story, and normally the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But I was one of those. I was critical of Perez. I still think that he should have been doing more. But I think as more information has come out, we learned how long the dots are kind of join up now with how far behind the development that second car was compared to Max. And if you go back and look at the improvements of the cars year on year in these recent regulations in particular, we saw that the Red Bull, which was the fastest and most dominant car at the end of, say, 2022, would have been slower than the slowest car the next year. Like the cars were improving at such a dramatic race and pace that Perez, we have discovered, was sometimes not receiving updates 4 races, 6 races after Max had got them. So
that's crazy.
The other teams were already making development gains. Yes, Max's car was getting faster and faster and getting better performance, but Perez's wasn't. It was staying where it was. And then what happens as a driver, you're then trying to overdrive the car to try and find performance, and there's pressure internally. I mean, one of the quotes he said was, so when he was leaving, he went, well, what are you going to do when Lawson fails? He goes, well, we've got Yuki. Okay, so what are you going to do when Yuki fails? He goes, well, we've got more drivers. We'll use them. So Max has and always will be, while he is there, their number one driver. Of course, it's a new look Red Bull now, but clearly that the team was wholly geared around Max Verstappen. And I think the reason why it became a bit of a conspiracy theory and people were so adamant it wasn't is because they felt it would then diminish Max's achievements and results. But on the other hand, Max is fully put himself in that position and shown performances.
You should be in that position.
To be number one driver. Yeah. So that's why Perez found himself in that position. But I do have to give him get off his back a bit because, I was one of those who was very critical of him and thought he should have done more. But now I actually feel a bit more sorry for the guy.
Does it take away from Verstappen's achievements? No. But can we realistically say we don't have a realistic benchmark for peak Verstappen against peak other drivers in the same team, in the same equipment? I think it's perfectly fair to say we don't have that. You know, we've seen other...
Ricardo.
It's
Ricardo.
for maybe like 1 year.
I mean, you have to go back that far.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
thing
only
is,
one you really got.
And the thing is, Ricardo left because he saw the way the team was going.
Yeah.
So people were critical of Ricardo's decision, but at that time, that hindsight's a beautiful thing, but at that time, he clearly saw, I think the Baku crash was the turning point for him. When they wouldn't put the blame on Max.
Yeah.
And if anything, Horner was a bit more critical of Danny than he was of Max. I think that's where Dan went, and his management just went, no, this is clearly where the team
The
is
ground
going.
has shifted, and let's find that golden parachute while we can.
Michael Schumacher was the same as well. He never really had an equal teammate in his whole time in Ferrari.
Yeah, you can remove the really from that situation, from that sense.
Exactly. So, but does that diminish his achievements because of, like, he was still mega quick in that car that they provided him? No. And the problem is that, he was in kind of a lose-lose situation because he needs to do better, but then he's also can't be as good as Max Verstappen and beat him. And there were, times at the start of the season, he was, I still go back to 2023, I think it was.
23, the beginning of Saudi Arabia, there was a couple.
Yeah, and they asked Sergio to move out of the way of Max. And this is like round 5, round 4. And I'm thinking, this guy's actually started the season very well against Max. And he's already being asked to move out of the way and allow Max to go chase the lead when actually Sergio Perez was on level pace with him. I just thought if anyone wants to decide, anyone has any questions about who is number one and where their priorities lay, that race right there, that early on in the season was it.
We're all Hamilton fans here. Okay, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to now say give Hamilton number one status exactly the same as Verstappen has had, or force Verstappen to be in equal machinery, equal terms like Hamilton has had in his career. Which one do you pick?
Hamilton.
Second.
You're going to it's a split. So Scott, you're going to give Hamilton number one driver status.
In what, for like this year as an example?
Yeah, or you could retrofit that and say that he would have had it going backwards as well.
I want to see the best fight the best, and for me, Max Verstappen is one of the best. And that 2021 season, yes, of course, there were lots of controversial moments and it ended controversially. But those two, there's nothing more that I'd love to see those two go at it again. Because they were
would you have
head
them
and
go
shoulders
at it again in the same team in equal machinery, or as number ones in their respective teams?
Number ones in their respective teams. I don't need like equal machinery for Max Verstappen. Like, I'm not one of those who needs to. I've been watching the sport long enough to know
it is car.
Very, very rarely do you get teams on, and we saw with McLaren last year how difficult it is for a team to manage when they do have two drivers who are performing at a high level against each other for the majority of the season. So you're going to get a much truer representation of the best going against the best if they're in opposite teams and it's them trying to win.
But Matt, you would choose to force Verstappen to be equal teammates.
I'm going to qualify my answer from a viewing point of view, from a watching point of view. I think everything would have been a lot more interesting if Max had been forced to live with the same kind of rules that Lewis had while he was at Mercedes, let's say. However, then I thought about it a little bit. And I'm like, no, on second thought, if we gave Lewis the same kind of primacy that Max has had, he'd already have 8 championships and I wouldn't be worried about anything right now. So, you know what I mean? I think in the end, that would work out better for me personally.
Yeah, because
if we did it that way. But the reality is there's been a real movement to make teammates more equal. Not entirely, but we saw Sainz and Leclerc that Sainz got a lot more equal machinery than I would have thought in a Ferrari. And it just seems to be the way everything's going. And in that sense, Verstappen's an outlier, but it gives him a ridiculous advantage, especially in the championships, and that the car and the team is really built for him. I'm very curious to see how much of that carries forward under Mekis, though, and without the involvement of the whole Horner wing. They're all gone now. Team philosophy potentially has shifted quite a bit here.
Hamilton gets 2016, We have got one more Hamilton topic, by the way, which we're going to finish on after this. He gets 2016 and 2007.
2007.
Yeah.
Unless that was
being a number
FIA
one,
secret deal, in which case, yes.
Being a number one in your rookie season is unrealistic.
I will just say, I think, Matt, you touched upon it there. I think we aren't going to see a lot of teams in the future bank on just one driver. I think Max Verstappen's...
I think it's the opposite from Scott. Ooh, okay.
No, I think to a certain extent. I think Max Verstappen's situation that he's had at Red Bull is the extreme end of what we've seen, this favoritism of direction towards their number one driver. Because the FIA now, Liberty Media, it's an entertainment sport. That's what sport is, ultimately. And they don't want a team to be as dominant as what we've seen from Red Bull and Mercedes in the past. There's always the possibility of it with a brand new set of regulations, but they're going to, I think, in moving forward, ensure that the regulations change so much so that the performance gaps come down, like we saw in quick succession in the ground effect era. It was only really 2 years, but the Red Bull was massively dominant, and then teams started to catch up, McLaren started to catch up, and so forth. And
2.5 years.
Look how that ended up with Red Bull not winning the constructors title. They should have had a clean sweep, but they didn't because they were so far on the end of the scale of favouriting their number one driver. Now, as you've touched upon with the change of philosophy, I don't think teams can get away with doing that now unless they have a massively baked-in advantage. It just doesn't make sense business-wise, because if you're winning the Drivers' Championship, theoretically speaking, you should also be winning the Constructors as well. So I think that's what teams are going to be looking at moving forward, because I know we don't like it. The fans focus on the drivers, but the sponsors do like the team championship as well.
I think, honestly,
money
cost cap. Because of the cost cap, it makes no sense. If you get any chance to favour one car over the other, you should absolutely take it in the cost cap era.
Yeah, but Yes, I still agree.
Because it's free money for that first car, isn't it?
No,
if you're taking money from the second car.
I still agree with that, but not in the overall context of the championship. I just think now with how the teams are just the level of performance engineering wise as well, I just think we're going to see that you can't get away with just favouring one driver anymore, and especially when it comes to strategies and so forth, you need that second driver there to help you out.
When Missed Apex F1 finally happens, when we finally buy an F1 team, we're going to have a clear number one, and me in the second seat, or my son.
But that's mostly because a lot of teams will or have run that second seat as money gathering, as a rental.
Yeah, and I think Red Bull have done that. I think the 3 other Red Bull seats come with a price tag.
Yeah,
I can't prove any of that, and I don't know the details of it, but that would be my suspicion. Right. And by the way, when we have Missed Apex F1 team, all my stuff about nepo babies and nepotism out the window. I'll deny everything. Like you're gonna have my cousin in PR. The pit crew is just gonna be like all my nieces and nephews. So yeah, all my principles will go out the window. Final item. We'll drop the sustainable fuels in favour of a change at Ferrari. Okay, so again, as Hamilton fans, how relieved/excited are we by the news that Adami is going to be no longer Lewis Hamilton's race engineer? Now, normally with the non-racing, non-management crew of F1, we very rarely pour criticism or put them in the spotlight, because these guys are, they're engineers. They come through. I don't think many of them went into it going, I need to be like a celebrity, a personality in the spotlight in F1. It's almost accidental. As viewers, as pundits, as broadcasters, we're meant to, I think the conceit is that we're meant to not really acknowledge that we're hearing this conversation between the race engineers and the drivers. It's like it's a little bit of we're peeping toms on this relationship, and it's meant to be a little secret that we all fool ourselves is not part of the main serving. So yes, you've got guys like Rob Smedley and Bono, who have become famous with their relationships with their drivers. I think this is the first high-profile case where a race engineer has become infamous for his relationship. So I'm feeling bad for Adami that he's been put in the spotlight to this extent, but it was evident with Sainz that there was an issue and Sainz wasn't happy. And when you've got the highest profile driver of all time coming in and his fans then seeing this frustrating relationship they've had. I mean, highlighted, but I think the worst one that comes to mind is Adami not being able to communicate whether it was the last lap of a Grand Prix or not. And Hamilton, is this the last lap? And he's like, no, guys are just pitting for whatever reason. And then he goes, okay, take the flag. So it is the last lap. Yeah. Like, what is happening? What's going on? It's been a disaster start to finish, that relationship. And really reluctant to call out a playable character, if you like, an NPC. But Scott, it has been so frustrating for us.
I disagree. I think he should be called out because I think a driver's engineer is such an influential role in how an F1 driver can perform. If you haven't got someone on the other end of the radio who can provide you the correct information, for one, and give you the confidence in the information that you're receiving, and give it in a timely manner as well. Don't forget that, of how long it takes sometimes for not just Lewis, but Charles in previous years as well with his previous engineer. And now he's got a new one who has definitely improved his performances, I believe, and gives a much more air of assuredness and confidence to Charles. How are you supposed to perform? I mean, there's only, like, driving the car is only one element of F1. Like, you need to have the full picture around you. And this isn't the first time, as you mentioned, that he unfortunately has been poor in this role. Sebastian Vettel also had issues with communication with him as well. So, yeah, and look, Adami's been there for many years, and no doubt he's very good at what he does as an engineer, the data analysis and all the other roles and things that we probably don't, and detail that we don't get to see. And there's many people in any industry who we know we've come across people like they're very good at their job. But you know what? Not everyone's made out to be a manager. Not everyone's a people person. Not everyone is a good communicator. And I think that's where Adami is. He's not a good communicator. And that's where the relationship has broken down with Lewis. And as you said, the most high-profile driver in F1 history, there was nowhere to hide for him. And this is a positive news for Lewis, because now he should get a replacement of someone he can build a much better relationship with.
I don't know. I think the job changed around him. And I think you're sort of right to say that the stuff that we see on TV doesn't even represent the full reality of what goes on during the race. Doesn't represent at all how good he is with Lewis outside of that one specific context. But I had some questions when I heard about this. Because Lewis, you go back through the article, Lewis defends him. He's very good. Sainz defends him. He's very good. And he probably is so good at certain aspects of this job that he's still there. But I wonder a bit, given the timing of this, is this just one of those things where they waited till it was long enough after the season so it didn't look like they were doing anything based on what other people said? Was this a long-running argument that Vasseur finally won about this? Or is this an Adami thing where the social media pressure just got to him and he's like, you know what? I'm checking out of this.
You think he might have jumped?
Because my family, I don't need this. So I will happily go somewhere else. You can bring in somebody who's more suited to the newer, more public aspect of this role. I don't wish to be exposed to this level of scrutiny,
which is fair. That's
tifosi.
Totally fair. I think it's like, what's fair game, isn't it? So, I'm often told in response to any criticism, well, you put yourself out there on the internet, so you're fair game. And a big argument I had with the Reddit moderators when there was a big thread like slagging off Mr. Apex. I'm like, hey, guys, it's really weird to jump online and see like hundreds of people talking about you like that. And they just said, yeah, you're fair game, in the same way that Sky Sports is fair game. And you go, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, so people can be mean about us. Deep breath, let's go. And I think any driver going into F1 kind of has to sign that social contract as well, as sad as that may be. Where the race engineers fall in that social contract. And I think that's the case with Adami is the first time we've had to think about it, because with Bono, it's like, well, That's lovely. How lovely for him that he's a beloved part of the Hamilton thing. And Rob Smedley kind of became everyone's pit wall uncle, didn't he? You know, and his reputation. This is the first time it's been negative. So it's very interesting from a media point of view.
But it's also interesting because you could look at Lambier's, some of his exchanges with Max are very spiky. And, but he doesn't get that criticism.
No, he's a hero. He's seen very much as fantastic in the role that he's now left. Scott?
Yeah, the social media element might have played a role. But also, we know that John Elkann last year came out and backed the engineers and told the drivers to focus on driving. So there may have been a very
shut up and dribble, wasn't it? Yeah.
There may have been an insular living in a bubble almost that Ferrari have, and maybe this social media presence is actually someone from the outside has actually gone, do you actually realise that how he's not actually that good at his job? And it's like, oh, now I see it. So I don't know in what circumstance he has decided to, or how he's been moved
I don't
away.
think he's decided. I think he's been moved on. I think this is a Hamilton thing. I think Team Hamilton has been very dissatisfied and has hidden it barely. And what's that episode of Friends where Monica goes...
Hidden it barely.
He's hidden it barely. Like, he's been like, leave me alone. It's just funny. Like,
but it's the basics, isn't it, unfortunately, that he has got wrong. And it's constant. It's not like this has been one or two times and you go, it's like, everyone makes mistakes. It's a 24 race weekend season.
He sounds like
it was almost every race weekend.
He sounds like he's not constantly on the radio. He should be constantly on the radio. His communication with Lewis Hamilton should be the number one thing. And like there was a thing where he said, "Oh, sorry, I was away. Like I was away from my station." It should be like on submarines, the radar guy is handcuffed to that position, so you can never leave that station. That's what I want to see. Race engineer, you should be handcuffed to the pit wall, and you should have your earphones duct taped to your head so that you can't possibly, be away from it. But my worry is there was a Monica episode of Friends where she goes into this restaurant. It's a family-run restaurant, and she fires this person that she thinks is incompetent. But it turns out that everyone else in the kitchen is related, and they all hate her for the rest of the time there. Is Hamilton now driving a wedge through his relationship with the rest of the Ferrari guys, if my assumption is that he's the one that ended up moving Adami on? And Adami is not sacked. He's moved on to F1 Academy stuff. And, he's got a job within Ferrari Motorsport still.
There is that potential, but it sounds like that it's the reports are to be believed that it's the guys who are a bit too comfortable in their positions at Ferrari, who've been there for 20 plus years, are upset that someone from the outside is trying to shake up the apple cart. But you say that, though, the rumoured replacement for Adami does seem to already have a pre-existing relationship with Lewis Hamilton. His name is Luca Diella. This is just rumours, not announced yet. I'm sure we'll get an announcement soon. And, well, he moved to Ferrari in the middle of last season, and he was the former PU performance engineer for Lewis at Mercedes. It's on his LinkedIn. For 4 years, he was working with Lewis at Mercedes. Then he moved to Ferrari, and not instantly, but a few months later, became the performance engineer of Lewis Hamilton and has been since. He is the person who is rumoured to be replacing Adami. So that person already has an existing relationship with Lewis. And if that's the case, then you'd like to think that he'll be able to navigate any sort of wedge from anyone else. It's someone that Lewis can instantly trust and probably already has a much better line of communication with.
All right. I think that brings us to the end of this episode, Matt, unless you had anything burning. I do want to ask you about your idea for the watch-along that I think we're going to do midweek.
Okay. What about my idea?
Well, you suggested a particular Grand Prix. Is it available on YouTube?
It is available on YouTube.
Okay.
1999 European Grand Prix. And if you're wondering, it was at the Nürburgring. So just to make sure.
Oh, which Nürburgring? So the GP layout. The one we do on iRacing.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm not sure which layout it was because it was 1999. I'd actually have to go look at I have to go look at the pencil sketch that they taped to a camera lens when they talked
Is that how
about
they did the track map? Is it?
Oh, first thing is
Yeah.
if you have time to go back, like the YouTube that I found it's ITV coverage.
I have watched it within the last year, I think, that race. So it is a good one. Stuff happens. We've never done a live watch along before, but I think the general idea is we'll do it live. And so, people can watch along, and we'll say the timestamp that we're going to start. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that we saw in the grid walk and everything. And then at a certain point, we'll say, okay, press play now. And then we'll do a watch along. But inevitably, there's going to be some silences. I've heard like, a Star Trek podcast that I like doing these watch alongs. And occasionally there's silences because you're listening to the dialogue or we'll be listening to the commentary. We can't show, obviously, any of the audio or footage from that. But it will be designed for you to be watching the race at the same time as listening to the pod. Whether or not that will translate to casual podcast listeners, I don't know, but we're going to give it a go. This is the right time to try it. It's going to be you and me, and also I think Christina is going to join us, and I think Christina will be alarmed at the broadcast quality because she will not.
It's stellar. I mean, not to give too much away, but in the pre-show, there's a big tech segment where Martin Brundle, who looks amazingly youthful in 1999.
Well, he would do, yeah.
Spend some time explaining the difference between oversteer and understeer because nobody knew what that was, apparently.
And there is a bit of chaos at the start as well in that Grand Prix too. So we'll see how it goes. It will be a nice hangout. So join us for that. Matt, if you could put the YouTube link for that race in the show notes so that people can have that teed up for the live stream. I think we're going to go for Wednesday evening, because we've got to go to Canada time as well. So let's go for a pencil in Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK. We have got room for another panelist. I think, Scott, you're busy in the week, but we'll find someone to come and jump in. Go and follow Scott on his YouTube channel with his watch-alongs, with his opinions. I think he is going to be the biggest watch-along person in 2026. By the end of 2026, he will have the #1 watch-along channel. So how can people find you there, Scott?
On YouTube, at Stuffey, and the link to my channel will be in the show notes below.
Mm-hmm. So find Stuffey, and it's STUFFEYY.
Just type in Stuffey, like you got stuffy nose, F1, and it pops up on the search bar.
Okay. You don't need to spell it correctly because I'm such a big deal that it will just come up anyway. Matt is at MattPT55 everywhere. So go and follow him on his social medias. I'm posting more stuff on Instagram. I'm getting, not hassled, I'm getting nicely hassled by a friend who is in PR, encouraging me to. My thing is always, why would I post that on Instagram? Who's going to care what some 45-year-old dad is doing? But I'm getting daily affirmations, which is, you are an internet personality. The things you do may be interesting to some people. Go and post it online. So I'm being much more active on Instagram and also on TikTok. So we're going to have a Spanners TikTok where it's things I reckon, and we've got the Missed Apex, which is clips from the show. They also go on our YouTube Shorts channel. Okay, I feel like the season proper has started. Don't press snooze, because from here till the first Grand Prix, Missed Apex are going to be on top of all the rumblings and launches and news stories that come out of Formula One. Until we see you next, work hard, be kind, and have fun. This was Missed Apex Podcast. It took me 3 attempts to hit the correct bumper then. By the way, we didn't get to it. I don't like the engine sound. I don't like it. Sounds a bit like Formula E mixed in with Formula One. For another day.